Right now we've got Phil and Dimebag from the band Pantera. Now your record out right now is called Cowboys from Hell.
You definitely helped to push a lot of artists, not only like nationally but internationally, because all of a sudden MTV became known everywhere in the world. And it wasn't because of a guy like you who had, yes, you were lucky because you were given the platform, but you were able to represent that platform as well.
Yeah, the thing is that with Headbangers Ball, and this is why every show that other than Headbangers Ball is very different. This is why that metal show is nothing like Headbangers Ball, is because I was the guy at the club, I was the guy in the audience, I was the guy at the show, I was the guy hanging out like any of us would. I was a rock fan, still am. I was the guy buying the records. I was the guy that was doing all that. I'm not a journalist. I can't tell you who produced what album or what track 8 is on the third Maiden album. I don't know offhand, you know, but I listen to the music and I have fun and I'm out there, you know, partying and doing all the things like everybody else was. And I had fun.
Hey, saw you down in the pit. That's a change. Oh, yeah. I think that's what people were most surprised about this whole weekend, was like seeing Riki in the pit.
Yeah, I'm like, dude,
but, you know,
funny-looking punter down there in the front by my side. Marty finally speaks up.
So how are you feeling?
How am I feeling? I'm fine. Probably a lot better than you.
Thanks.
Probably a lot better.
See, even right before going on stage in front of 12,000 people, Dave Mustaine can still give me a hard time.
I didn't mind people making fun of me on the Headbangers Ball. I didn't mind people throwing cake in my face or people throwing me in a pool, or I didn't care because I was having fun and I never took myself too seriously and still don't.
Tomorrow marks the 8th anniversary since we lost Dimebag, so why don't we talk about the first time you met those guys, and you know, let's talk a little about Dimebag.
Well, first of all, Pantera, I think the biggest shame for the kids that are into metal today is that they never got to see Pantera, because Pantera was so great. I think the first time I saw them live, they were opening up for Skid Row, and we were in Fayetteville, South Carolina, maybe, and I saw Pantera, and I thought they were so good, and obviously these guys were cool, so I kind of bonded with them and made friends with them, and then we had them on Headbangers Ball, and this is at the time that Dimebag was actually, most people knew him as Diamond Daryl, and he decided to change his name to Dimebag Daryl, and the show wouldn't let me say Dimebag Daryl because it was a reference to marijuana. So after the show was out, everybody knew him as Dimebag, and I couldn't say Dimebag. I had to say Diamond Daryl, and everybody's like, "Oh, Riki didn't even know his name." And I was, of course, I knew his name, but we weren't allowed to say Dimebag at that time. So it was kind of fun.
From what I understand, it doesn't sound anything like the Pantera that we're hearing today. And I guess was one reason because of the addition of this guy?
That's what we heard. It's Yeti. No, Yeti is the future. Well, Pantera is what it is, you know, today, period. Cowboys from Hell, and that's like it's a major label.
Been growing for a long time.
Yeah, exactly, man. I've been in the band for 5 years now, so I don't feel so new or anything to that effect. It's just straight out Cowboys from Hell being our first major label record.
They always got it. I always had a great time with Pantera. You know, they were one of the few bands that always got it, and I can tell you right now, especially Dimebag and Vinny, those guys, and Phil, those guys really cared about their fans. They were the guys that would be out there drinking with the band. They were the guys that would be out there after the show partying with everybody. Pantera cared so much about their fans. I was in a punk rock band called Battery Club, and we played in Texas. I had no idea those guys would show up, but they showed up to see my band. They bought a T-shirt, they bought a CD, then they brought my band back with them to the studio, and my band could not party like those guys. So my guys were so wasted. They were fist fighting with each other. They just could not party like the guys in Pantera could. So it was pretty funny, and I have a lot of good memories of those guys, and I love them, and it's so horribly tragic what happened. And now we look at what's happening to Randy Blythe right now, and people have to take that into consideration when they read about Randy Blythe, was indicted the other day for manslaughter. And people have to understand, you don't know what's going to happen when a fan gets on stage.
Yeah, I've played thousands of concerts, and to people who are not used to this type of music, I know it must seem crazy and violent, the appearance, but that sort of activity is normal at a concert, that type of dancing.
Yeah, definitely things changed that day. When that happened to Dime, it was kind of like everything from now. Every artist has to have some sort of fear when somebody gets on stage, because first of all, you don't know who it is. It can be a cool kid who wants to give you some props, but it can also be a freak who might want to hurt you. It's like you don't know.
You have no idea when you're in a band, and especially if you're playing in Prague or something, and you're playing and there's a flimsy barricade and these fans are jumping on stage. You have no idea what can happen. They might go up there and try to kiss you. They might go up there and try to shoot you. And there is no protection for the bands. And, it was a tragedy what happened at that Lamb of God show, but to blame Randy for that is just horrible.
It is very tragic that a young man died. I feel very bad that a fan of my band is dead, that his family has to go through it. It's terrible. I feel awful for them, but it's a tragic coincidence.
Yeah, and it's still going on, as he was just officially indicted, and it's kind of it's a complete different justice system as well, which is crazy, because that's like the worst thing you can ever face in your life is kind of being in another country doing your job, because those guys, as it's a lot of hard work. Yeah, it's fun in games when they're on stage, but when they're off stage, it's a lot of work, and then to go there and then face such a situation, it's like, wow.
It is very. Randy Blythe could face 10 years in a Czech prison. And the thing that pisses me off is, when we hear about all these people that something happens to them overseas, the government gets involved. And I get very aggravated that the government is not getting involved because they're in a heavy metal band. Heavy metal is the last group that it's okay for society to turn their back on. Because I will tell you straight out, if it was a hip-hop artist, they would have gotten involved. It was a pop artist, they would have gotten involved. If it was a jazz artist, they would have gotten involved. But because it's a heavy metal band, it's okay just to put it under the curtain. Because heavy metal is the one group that people that aren't into that music will not stand up for. Look what happened with the West Memphis 3.
Right.
Because they listen to metal. That's the reason I think that they spent so much time in prison.
Have you had a chance to speak with Randy after the incident?
Mark Morton I speak with sometimes a couple times a week. I haven't spoke with Randy. I went to go see him play a couple weeks ago, and it was in Vegas, and Randy got sick, and they had to cancel the show. I'm going to go back and see them December 14th. Randy, I don't really, I like Randy. I know Randy. Whenever we see each other at shows. But Mark Morton is probably Mark Morton's probably the only guy in a metal band that I talk to a lot. Sometimes once a week we'll write letters to each other or something.
It's funny you bring up Mark, because to me, Mark, if there's anybody, of course, DIMEBAG doesn't have a replacement, but when it comes to the style of playing and the vibe he brings on stage, I think Mark is like the guitarist that gets the closest to what Dime did.
When I hear Lamb of God, and people say, oh, it's growling, isn't it? When I hear Lamb of God, a lot of the sounds do remind me of Pantera, and I think Lamb of God is like a Pantera-type band. That's how I look at them. I will tell you that right now, that DIMEBAG and Mark Morton, both incredible guys, very, very different, though. Very different. But I'm sure if you told that to Mark, I'm sure he would be very flattered. He's a great, great person. And a huge NASCAR fan.
And hey, we cannot forget about the Dave Mustaine comment you made recently, that even though he mistreated you, he disrespected you, you still love the band, because, come on, that's an awesome record, period.
Well, there's a lot of bands that if I meet the guy and the guy's a jerk, that band sucks. If there's a band, the problem is, I'll give you a perfect example. I am not a fan of the band Three Doors Down at all, okay? So I was in Talladega, Alabama, and the guys from Three Three Doors Down all came up to me. Oh, Riki, we're big fans. We're so happy to meet you. This is so great. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'll go watch them play live. They're not so bad. They're all right, you know, because they were just so nice. As far as Megadeth goes, Dave, I mean, you know, I went on your website and I looked at your blog and I saw all the videotapes of all the things that happened between me and Dave. I had no idea it was that many times. I thought like 2 or 3 things happened.
I know we're getting ready to go to Paris Valley.
Skydiving, sir.
I'm having a hard time talking right now.
Scared right
I'm
now.
scared is the understatement of the year. We're about to go skydiving now. You've done this before, right? Tons of times.
Si, senor.
And you like it.
Yes.
And you're going to do it again.
Many more times.
And this time, I'm going to. So it could be the very last episode of Headbangers Ball, so.
Don't get your hopes up.
Oh, thanks.
I didn't realize that Dave was always giving me crap for so long. What people don't understand is that during that time, I went to Dave's wedding reception where there were maybe only 2 other rockers there. Me and Dave used to go skydiving. Me and Dave went surfing in Brazil. Megadeth played the Cat House, capacity of 600. Megadeth played the Cat House. Megadeth played the Cat House 5th anniversary.
Riki Rachtman here, backstage at the Cat House 5-year anniversary. We're here with Dave and Nick from Megadeth, moments before they're going on stage. So what has been going on with Megadeth since we last spoke to you, as if I didn't know?
I was really good friends with Dave. Me and Dave would talk about Punisher comic books, but every time he went on TV, he would act like a dick. So it got to the point that I was like, you know, everybody really believes this. Then one day he went in concert and he said something like, oh yeah, why doesn't Riki just, you know, die and take us out of the misery? And that to me was like, okay, the joke's over. And I went on MTV and I said, you know what, Dave, if you've got a problem with me, really, tell me that you have a problem with me. But you act like we're friends, and then you say something else when we're on TV. I think that's really lame, so make up your mind. And Dave completely apologized. He told everybody that we were friends. He admitted the whole thing. So as far as I knew, me and Mustaine were still friends. I hadn't talked to him for probably 15 years. I went to go see Megadeth play, walked up to Dave, hadn't seen him in so long, and said, hey, like I just stood there, and he looked and he goes, oh, hello, Riki. And then he just turned around and turned his back on me. And I just stood there like, you're a dick. Because I don't need to fucking be friends with anybody anymore. I don't work in the metal industry anymore. If you don't like me, I don't care. But I was just like, whatever, you know. And I thought that was really lame. So I guess right now, me and Dave are not friends, and I could give a shit. I saw Dave play several times since. The problem is, Megadeth is really, really good. And if I put on Countdown, if I put on, you know, almost any of the records, I love those records. They are that good of a band. And I don't know if Dave was fucked up that time I saw him, but it really surprised me that he would act like that, and it bummed me out a little bit.
Riki, I want to thank you for your time.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
And all the dedication you've had, not only for music, but now for sports. And, you know, keep doing what you do, man. You're definitely doing something that it's meaningful for a lot of people.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I have fun, and when it's not fun, I'm going to stop.
Yeah, never stop having fun, man.
Exactly.
All right, brother. Take it easy.
Okay, thanks a lot. If you have a link or anything that you want to post this on, just let me know, and I'll get it out there.
Oh, for sure, for sure. We'll be in touch, man. Thank you.
Okay, take care, brother.
All right, bye-bye.